I'll start the video off with, I might not be the right person to talk to talk about the best way to search homes on MLS or the latest Stratus tools if you are able to search by school through Stratus. I didn't know that was something that you could do. I have a buyer's agent who spends her time on a tool called Collaborate, which everybody has access to, and we set our prospective clients and our clients up on that program because it's got a much better interface. If you're just setting them up on a prospect match, does anyone do prospect matches for their clients? Yeah, so it's a much better tool than that because a prospect match, they get the email, you don't know if they opened it, you don't know if they're interacting with the listing. They can't give you feedback on that listing without emailing you and having to reference which listing they're talking about, so it's a pain in the ass for them. Collab has a user-friendly interface. It's got a social media type of interface, so it's a better tool for that reason, but also they can literally like or dislike properties, so you get to see that. They can comment on the property on that tool, and you can see the comment on that tool. You can see when they've logged in. You can just see a lot more activity. And you can prepare them for the fact that if they do like a listing that we send to them, then we're going to assume that they want to go see that listing, so they can just like the property. They don't have to pick up the phone, they don't have to text us, they don't have to set something up. We can just take care of that for them. So it's just a much better tool, and that's what I would recommend setting your clients up on for now. We do that, or if they're not hot enough leads for us yet, we use our CRM called Brivity. Does anybody use Brivity for their CRM? It's a Ben Kinney tool. So I partnered with Ben Kinney. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but Ben Kinney runs the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams. He's #3 in North America for just a sales team. He started a tech company, acquires tech companies. It's like a $70 million company, and it's called Brivity. And Brivity is the platform that we use. It's the only platform that was built by an agent and being enhanced by agents and his expansion partners and the collaboration they get from their Facebook mastermind group and stuff like that. So it takes the lead from an internet lead, for example, or wherever you source your leads from, and sometimes it's automated depending on what the lead source is, but it goes into the CRM, and then there's auto campaigns that you set up for it. So, within a half hour of somebody signing on for an internet lead, they get communicated with 4 different times, and they're in the form of text messages and emails. So they'll get a text right away that just says, hey, I saw that you were on our site, that you must be looking for a home. And then 10 minutes after that, it's like, oh, and by the way, is it a home for yourself or is it a home for an investment? So it just follows up with not pushy sales stuff, but just stuff that people might be likely to respond to. As soon as they respond, the automation stops, and then you're just in a conversation with somebody. But it does a lot of the heavy lifting for you, so that you don't have to. It's highly automated, so that you don't have to be on top of everybody necessarily. You can just jump in with the people who are more active.
So what's Brivity? It's just like a site?
CRM. Yeah, it's a CRM. Yeah, you can go to brivity.com, and that'll have a good starting point for the information that you might want.
And same with Collaborate?
Collaborate's an MLS tool, so once you're logged into MLS, you'll see on the far left, it's a link, yeah. Yeah, so we won't get into the details of how to use that stuff because there's videos online and stuff that'll teach you better than I can right now.
Yeah.
But now you're aware of it, and those are the tools you'll want to use if you're not using them for setting up matches. So the other thing about Brivity is that you can actually set up listing alerts on that program so that you can set up some parameters similar to what you would do on Collab or prospect matches, and they're automatically getting. So when they respond to that, and we actually have a conversation with that person, then we would put them onto a program like Collab, or we would just maybe keep them on the Brivity listing alerts. But either way, both tools are giving us insight into what activity they're doing and what properties they're sort of looking at. Questions on that part? So before we can do any of that stuff, or not before we do that, we can start doing that stuff, but once we're in conversation with these potential clients, now it's a matter of digging in and finding out what they want, because none of the rest is actually possible without doing that. I mean, hosting open house is different, but knowing what to say at the house and what to talk about at the house isn't possible unless you know what they want. And sometimes you're finding out what they want by bringing them on showings. Like our system, our preference is to meet with them beforehand so that we can go over the process. Like we have a buyer's guide that I can send to you. It's actually Ben Kinney's because we partnered with them, and one of the reasons we partnered with them was so that we could have a buyer's guide, among many other things. but we walked them through the buyer's guide because, let me just see if I can just pull it up and you guys can actually see it.
So you said you'd share that with us?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think Ben would be okay with that. Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up because it's pretty key. I mean, if you do a variation of this, you can just rip this off and make it your own. You'll just speak to your value propositions. If it's a Ben Kinney team value proposition, you'll just tweak it to make it whatever your name is value proposition. But the point is that you're positioning yourself as an expert. So along the way, if there's problems, along the way, if there's uncertainties, they know from before that you've been through this before. You walk them through this. They already know what's going to happen. They know that if it happens, that you know what to do because you've already walked them through the different scenarios that can happen. You're also positioning real estate purchasing as, they probably already know that it's a great way to build wealth, but you're repositioning their mind and making them think about it a little bit different when you have an upfront conversation about it. So our goal is to have the upfront conversation. We want to build value because that's our opportunity to do that. However, if we don't want to be rigid either, we want that to be, we want to be consistent with that, with getting in front of people before we go out with them, but we don't want to be rigid about it. So if they want to go out on showings and they don't want to meet beforehand, then I'm going to go on showings and I'm going to meet with them, but I'll at least have tried to get a meeting with them first. So I'll at least try by building value about why it makes sense to go on the appointment first, so that we can, ask them a series of questions and not waste our time going and seeing stuff that is a waste of their time. We want to position it as a time saver for them, because they might not want to spend the time up front. They might, even if it only takes 20 or 30 minutes, they'd rather just go see houses for those 20 or 30 minutes. But you can eliminate, even if you eliminate 1 or 2 houses from the search process because you ask them upfront questions, that eliminates 20 or 30 minutes of time that they're wasting doing that. So I want to position it as a time saver for them. But I can ask these questions. I've done this buyer consult and I've done listing presentations while I'm looking at properties with people. So it's okay to do that then too. I don't want to get too rigid in that. I want to work with the buyer. I want to respect how they want to do the transaction. Like if somebody prefers texting and I don't like texting, with that person I'm texting. Because I want to be in good rapport with that person. I want to make it easy for them. I want to do what, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of basic stuff, I guess.
Okay, so say you have an internet reader, right? They like your website, they hop on, and what do you say to get them into an office for the meeting?
That's a great question. It's the same thing I would say at an open house. So these scripts can be transferable. There's like 10 scripts you need to know for lead generation. So if somebody calls in, or I call somebody because they just came on my website, I might say, hey, I'm just giving you a quick call. It looks like you were looking at homes on our website, and people visit our website for 1 of 2 reasons. They're either looking to buy a house, or they're going to be selling a house, and they're looking at current prices. Which one are you? Because if I ask, hey, are you looking for a house? It's easy for them to say no. If you give people a yes, no option, 90-something% of the time they're taking the no. That's just how human nature is programmed. So we want to work with that and just give them a couple of yes options. Are you a buyer or a seller? Well, actually, we're looking to buy something, but we'll have to sell our house. Even better. Okay, great. So from there, I might ask, okay, great, and what do you like about the house that you were looking at online? Actually, I don't really like any of those. I'm actually trying to find something. They'll get into the details. So I want to ask buying type questions. Even if I'm talking to a seller, my focus when I'm door knocking, those are to generate seller leads, obviously. But I'm focusing on where they're going next, because nobody really gets excited about the selling process. It's a pain in the ass. But they're either moving away from some pain, either the house is too expensive, or it's too much maintenance, or it's too big, or it's too small, or whatever the pain they're trying to get away from is, or they're moving towards pleasure. So when I ask, okay, great, where are you going? And they're like, well, we need to move into something bigger. It's like, okay, great, like, are you gonna stay in the same area? And they say, yeah, like the schools are great, it's just now our kids are older and we're fighting over bathroom space. So they're talking about the pain of staying there. So that's going to be the thing that I'm focusing on when I'm going through the transaction. If they get sidebarred, or if they get distracted, or if they get hung up on stupid shit that doesn't matter, because their actual motivation we discussed when we were talking about why they're actually making this happen. So when it comes down on the negotiation to, you know, they're not including the dryer, we want them to include the dryer, otherwise we're backing out of this deal. It's like, okay, great, no problem, we'll back out of this if that's what you guys want. But is it worth not getting out of the situation where, like, how many more days are you willing to fight for bathroom time and be having screaming matches before? Like, is that how you want to continue to start your day, or do we want to just move on past this dryer? That doesn't actually matter in the grand scheme of things. Do you want to move out of that situation, or do you want to get this deal done? Or do you want to stay in that situation, or do you want to get this deal done? And then we're talking about the things that actually matter, not the stupid bullshit that they think matters in that moment of high emotion. Does that make sense? So along the way, when I'm selling the home, I'm not actually selling the home, because what happens is they sell me on what they want. So when I'm going through the house, I might bring up some facts about the house. Like, okay, so this house was updated, like this house was built in 2015. It looks like finishes that most buyers would probably like. They've done the open concept, they've done this, so this is attractive to most buyers. Some buyers might not like this. There's no office at the front of the house, and most buyers in this category of house would prefer to have an office at the front. Do you guys care about that? Is that something that you want? I don't remember from your wish list if that was something you guys mentioned. Well, no, we don't actually need that. That's okay. Okay, great. So it'll be a little bit less competitive. Overall, how do you guys feel about the layout of the house? And I'm asking them questions. So I might give them some facts. I'm not giving them my opinion. So I'm not like, oh yeah, this house is great for this reason. Oh, like, don't you love these finishes? Like, I don't need to sell the house. I just need to give them facts about the house to show some expertise, or like before we go in the house, like just a couple things to notice before we go in, like the shingles are gonna need to be replaced. The shingles look old, that'll probably have to be replaced. So we'll have an inspector look just to see if there's any damage inside the roof. It looks like the windows are probably, you know, from the 60s or something like that. If you know stuff about the house, just point it out. And just be like, let's go in and check it out and see what the layout looks like, see if it matches your criteria.
Like a good or bad stuff, doesn't matter?
Yeah, it's just something to look out for. If it's bad, like it's a house, so it's made of bricks, it's made of plywood, it's made of drywall, it's got some piping and some electrical and stuff like that, but otherwise it's just materials that can be replaced, right? So there's just facts about the house, and you might know some of them, discuss some of them, and then you're getting their opinions on the rest. You guys mentioned, and you'll go back to the things that they told you want. So you mentioned that you guys want an ensuite in your master bathroom. Is this what you imagined? Well, no, like, we would have preferred having white countertops, and, you know, we would want a big mirror there, not two little mirrors. It's like, okay, great, so if that could be negotiated into the deal, or if you could negotiate that in the price and do that yourselves afterwards, would this be the right master bathroom for you? You know what I'm saying? You have to know what they want, and you have to continue to ask them if what you're seeing is what they want. And if it's not what they want, could we do something to make it the way they want? See what I'm saying? Because they'll sell us on what they want, and then we have to figure out if we can make that happen with this opportunity that we're standing in right now, and if not, we move on to the next one. Does that make sense?
Austin, here, like, if the caller says, like, I have a house, I want to sell and buy, so it makes sense, like, he sells, he has equity, so no problem with you. There's more chances, like, the person may qualify for the mortgage. But now, when you talk about the house, without making sure whether the person qualifies or not, because we are explaining about house, but he only qualifies for something like a condo, because maybe the house that he's looking for is way out of his, you can say, like, his budget.
Yeah, so one of the other reasons why I'm doing the pre-appointment is to find some stuff out like that. I might even, before I meet them, ask if they've been pre-approved.
Okay.
And if not, I'm sending an email to our mortgage lender saying, hey, if you have a bank or if you have your own broker, find out what you're pre-approved for. Otherwise, this is a great resource that a lot of our clients and myself use as well. And then I'll be like, you're looking for 800 to 900,000. Where did that number come from? Well, I have $500,000 cash, and I own my house outright, so like I'm pretty sure I'm good to go. Like that person, I would still have them get the approval or whatever, but like I can start kind of looking around. It's not a big deal. I've rarely had people who are like way off on what they can afford. But yeah, for that extra due diligence, especially when you're really busy because you've been doing such a good job of generating your leads and you're working with lots of people, and you're not just going for any old showing just because it's available, because somebody's willing to go out with you. When you're in that position where you have to be selective because you only have so much time in the day, then you're going to want to make sure that you've done more pre-qualification for sure. But for agents who haven't, I would say just go and practice. Go and do as much as you can. Be in action. In fact, on our team, within the first like 15 days, you're going previewing 100 homes. Like I think you guys at Ignite, it's like 10 homes a week or something. Yeah, that's kind of for wusses. So we do like 100 in 15 days. It's a really quick way of getting to know the market. It's a really quick way of just being in action. You're videoing it. You're talking to your sphere, so you're inviting them like, hey, I'm going to see these properties, and I know that you live in the area. You do want to come and see some of them. So it's an excuse to reach out to them. You usually end up doing at least a deal or two just from that activity. You're on social media showing that you're looking at houses. People on social media, they have no idea what's going on. They just think you're like, you know, either listing a ton of houses or bringing out tons of buyers. It doesn't actually matter because the perception is just what the reality becomes. But you're out doing your job. You need to get to know the market anyway. If somebody wants to see some of those houses or you get a listing in that area, you can at least speak to the houses and you've actually got inside knowledge of what's going on. So the previewing is a really critical step, especially when you're new in the business. Or if you just need something to get yourself into momentum, it's a great thing to do. You're leaving your card at each house. You leave your business card at 100 listings. In a market like this, some of those are going to expire. And they might look at the business card that you left behind. Be like, I wonder if this agent can buy the house. Maybe they can do something better. We get listings sometimes just from leaving cards behind.
Who are they?
Really?
Yeah.
How do you choose the homes that you preview?
But I never had it.
For instance, list the different.
I'll get into that in a second. I'm going to go over the whole 100 home preview plan, okay? You guys get a little special treat, okay? A little bonus. The dream of home ownership benefits. This is something you're going to want to go through with people on your consult, okay? Appreciation. That's one reason that people want to buy real estate. So, you know, if real estate has an average conservative appreciation of 5%, we'll say, then, I mean, I think nationally it's like 4.5% is like a healthy increase, but our market's been a lot more. So let's just say 5%. If you put $10,000 into the stock market and you get a 10% return, how much money do you make from your $10,000? A 10% return. Anybody? Yeah, $1,000. If you put $10,000 down on a property, I know you can't do that, but let's just say for the sake of argument, you put $10,000 down on a property and it goes up half that, it goes up 5%. How much did you make on your $10,000? Let's say the property's worth $500,000.
25.
Yeah, you made $25,000 on your $10,000. 250% return. So in real estate, you get that multiplier effect because it's not the money that you put in that's getting that return. It's the value of the property that you're buying. You can leverage the property through banks and loans and things like that. So that's something worth going through with your buyer so that they remain excited about the opportunity. They don't decide to rent something partway through the process. Or they don't give up, or they don't, you know what I mean, to keep them excited. So we write this down. So projected home price, you're buying a $500,000 house, average appreciation rate, we'll say 5%, just to be conservative. Annual appreciation equals $25,000. So you write that out for them. And then principal payments. A certain percentage of your mortgage payment will be contributed to the principal balance of your loan. We all know this, but some people sometimes aren't thinking about that when they're getting into all the other complexities of this transaction. This creates more equity in your home every month you make a payment. So we put the mortgage amount, so we'll say it's $400,000 because they put $100,000 down. Interest rate, term years, you just fill in the blanks here, and then principal paid in year one. On that loan, it's probably like, I don't know, $10,000 or $12,000. So now they've got a 300 to 350% return on that $10,000. Or in this case, we're doing $100,000. So.
The same explanation goes for the pre-construction, right? Because they buy, for example, the same thing happened. Someone bought 400 condos in Lakeshore. It was 20%, 80,000. But in a 2-year span, when it was occupied, the price was 700. So that 80,000, the 300,000 appreciation. So that his money was 80,000.
Yeah.
So it is like almost 200, 300%.
Yeah, so you're depending on appreciation, which can be risky for some people. But I mean, remember, like if they're like, well, like we only plan on having this house for 3 years, it's like, okay, well, then that might be a little bit risky. It might not be where you want to put it. So it depends on the situation. But most people, if you're helping them buy a home, they're holding on to it for a bit, or they'll have that option to hold on to it if the market's down or something like that. So if somebody's planning to live there for 5 years and then they're moving into a bigger house, it's like, okay, well, if the market's not doing what you want at the time, would you be able to hold on to it until the market's doing something better? Like, yeah, we probably could. Okay, great. Well, then let's buy this. Tax benefits, as we know, sell your primary residence, you don't get any capital gains. And if it's a income property, you can write off any of the expenses. So there's some tax benefits. So you'll go through those tax benefits as well. So you're positioning your
So what about this? Do you have to live in the, let's say I got a brand new house.
yeah.
And I want to sell, I have to live in it in order for me not to pay a capital gain?
Yeah, I'm not a tax advisor here, so we actually have a little disclaimer in there saying like you talk to your accountant. But yeah, if it's your primary residence, you don't pay a capital gain when you sell it. If you rented it out for a few years and you live there for a few years, you got to talk to somebody who knows.
And there's no set time. It's about how consistently you do it. If
Probably.
you're like
I think it's a little bit
claiming you
loose.
sell your primary residence every 6 months, they're gonna flag you.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna live in your primary residence for at least 1 year before you.
Not necessarily, but again, I'm not a tax advisor either.
Can always default to that. So we go over what we're going to talk about and what does success look like to you. So we talk about what our goals are for this process. We tell them that the home buying process will be one of the best decisions and transactions of their life. That we're going to help them find the perfect home for the best price possible. And that we'll have a constant and clear communication throughout the whole process, and then we show them how we do that. And then I'm asking them what are their goals. And now I'm shutting the hell up and I'm listening, and I'm taking notes. Because this is what matters most. And that's not just something that you say, that actually helps you so that you can sell better. Because it's hard to sell somebody on something if you don't know what they want. And when you know what they want, you actually don't really, it doesn't feel like selling, you're just kind of asking questions to reinforce what they told you they want. You're just getting clarity on what they want. Because if I'm showing somebody something and it's got everything that they told me they want, then I have to say, okay, well this house has everything that you want, so why aren't we putting an offer? And it's just a frank question. It's not pushy. I'm not being a pushy salesman like, yeah, you should really buy this because it's got everything that you said you want, so let's put an offer. I'm not doing that. I'm saying, okay, great, so this house has exactly what you want. It's got the master bedroom with the ensuite, it's got the 2-car garage, it's on a street that's a dead end, it's in this school district that you want. What is it about the house that makes you not want to put it on? Like, what is it missing? And then they might say, well, it's just like it hasn't been updated in 20 years. So like, I don't know if we want to take on this project. Okay, well, what if the seller's willing to negotiate completing it with the finishes that you want prior to you moving in? Or what if we can get it so that there's a 2-month delay in the time that this closes and when the property that you're selling closes? What if we could buy you a couple months? We can make up for it in the purchase price, but the bank would give you a bridge loan so that you can have both properties at the same time. We can take it out to the offer price so that the seller's paying for that overlap. Then you can have the house exactly the way you want it. And they just might not have thought of that, and then you're helping them find a solution because you're willing to ask them the right questions because at first you found out what they want. And when you found them what they want and they still don't want to do it, you dig in deeper so you can find out the real reason without just doing the surface level bullshit that doesn't get anybody anywhere.
Have you found that works?
Yeah.
In the actual deal? Like, so this, have you had a seller say, yeah, cool, you can deduct this off?
Well, I mean, the asking price is the asking price, and then the market value is the market value. So the market value is what somebody's willing to pay at that particular point in time. So if they're asking, 1.5 million, and we're willing to pay 1.425, then yeah, we negotiate. Like as far as the buyer goes, we negotiated those 2 months into the deal.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's all just made up funny money anyway. So we're just however we position it, it's like, yeah, you're getting, even if it's like 30,000, yeah, that 30,000 you're getting off the asking price is paying for those 2 months plus some. That's pays for everything. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, some things that we think matter don't. It's just the way it's positioned. If it makes people feel good about the decision that they're making, if it's getting them what they want, then ultimately they're going to be thanking you. If you think that they're overpaying a little bit of the time, or they say that they think they're overpaying a little bit of the time, ultimately they have two choices. They either don't do it, or they buy it because, realistically, everybody's overpaying. And whoever buys the house from you whenever you sell it is going to overpay then too. So who cares? This is the house you want. Let's get it. I'll get the documents ready. When do you want it to close? How much deposit do you have? You know what I'm saying? That type of stuff. I'm going to talk to them about securing financing. So we talk about these things so that they know that we know, not because we're gonna be the ones who do it, but we're gonna let them know that they're gonna wanna make sure that they collect all the required documents. You're just gonna need all your tax forms for the last 2 years, you're gonna need any pay stubs, you're gonna need this stuff, so the mortgage agent will tell you exactly what they need, just be prepared for that. They'll review the loan programs. If you don't like the loan programs that your bank's offering, I can get you in touch with our mortgage agent, they might have more options. Down payment terms and rates, so you're a first time buyer, so you only need 5% down on the first 500,000, you'll need 10% down on the 500 to a million, and then anything over a million, you'll need 20% down on. And then obtain pre-approval about, just get that sorted out with your bank so that we can go in with a firm offer if possible. Any questions about that? Okay, yeah, the bank will get into more detail, I just wanted to let you know what to expect. Now you're gonna tell them how we're gonna find them the right home. So a lot of the stuff that we want to cover, or that they're going to want to know, or that they don't even know that they don't know, because that's really the situation with most buyers, we're going to go over, and they're just going to be blown away at the fact that we're going over all this stuff without them even having to think about it. So they're going to know that during this process, when there's other things that they hadn't thought of, that we already were ahead of it. This just prepares them for the fact that we're ahead of it. So finding the right home. So there is a new approach to finding the perfect property. It turns out 44% of people who found their house last year found it online. So what we're going to do is a variety of different things to make sure you get the perfect house. Okay? We're going to be looking at the actively listed homes and open houses. So we're going to set you up on a great tool. It's called Collab. So you'll actually be able to interact with the listings. You'll like it, dislike it. We'll get that feedback. You don't have to call us or text us or email us about the listing. We'll just see that you liked it or disliked it. If you comment on it, we'll see the comments that you made. If you like a property on that tool, it's like a social media kind of interface, so it's really easy to use and intuitive. If you like a property, we'll see that. We'll either go preview it for you so that you don't have to spend any time doing it. If we think it's the right house for you, if we think that it's worth you coming to see it, we'll let you know, and then we'll set up a private showing. We'll also be looking at new construction, depending on what they want. Or I might say, you're not, you're looking for an older home, you want it to have character and stuff like that, so we're not going to look at new construction, but that is an avenue that we look at for other clients. Off-market homes, our team prospects in the area, we get tons of internet leads, we get tons of sign calls and things like that, so we know of opportunities that are coming up before they actually hit the market, so we'll make sure that if it meets your criteria that you're the first person to know about it. We'll let you know, we're taking out foreclosures because that doesn't really happen in Canada. And then for sale by owner. Some people are trying to sell their house on Kijiji, some people are putting a sign on. There's usually good deals available there because they're not getting the market exposure that listings need to get to be able to get the top dollar. So we can usually get good deals there too. Do you have any questions about where we're looking and searching for the right home for you? Or is there anything other agents have talked about in terms of where they're finding houses for their clients or that they'd be finding for you that I, for some reason, forgot to mention? That's always a great question because the answer is always no. Because agents aren't going through this stuff with them. I'll even do this on showings. Like I said, if they're not willing to meet with me beforehand, I'll just pull this out during just the showings. Either at the first showing or by the end of the first or by the last one, because then I'm just letting them know how we're going to move forward on this.
So you will share this information with us?
Yeah, and then I'm making an offer. So when it comes time to make an offer, we're going to go over what the market overview looks like. We're going to be looking at the months of inventory. So has this been sitting on the market for longer or less time than the average house or most houses? The list to price sale ratio, are most houses selling above or below asking in this category? We're going to make sure that we know that when it comes time to make an offer. We're going to be taking a look at the days on market. We're going to be looking at comparable properties that have sold recently. We'll pull up as many as we can. Up to 5 active listings, up to 5 expired listings, ones that never sold, and we'll look at 5 listings that did sell successfully, how they compare and what their prices are, so that we're making a good decision on the price that we offer. And then we're going to negotiate. So we might even throw in terms that we don't care about, just so that we have something to remove when we're negotiating the deal. We're going to make sure that we're protecting your interest. We're going to make sure that we find out what the sellers want, because sometimes it's not just about the money, it's also about the closing dates or the down payment, or maybe we give them some cash in the form of a deposit, things that we can do so that you can get a better price. Any questions about the way this process works once we find the right place to make an offer on? So now I'm already preparing them for the fact that I'm going to know what to do once we find the place, and that they're in good hands, and that we're not just going to throw a dart at a board that has different prices on it and then throw that number down. You know what I'm saying? So once we successfully negotiate the offer for you, we're going to bring you through this process of negotiating the terms. Once the offer is accepted, the loan process starts. So we're going to make sure that you've got all the right documents, all the documents that you sign off on to make this thing happen are going to go to your lawyer. They're going to go to your banker so that they can start executing the loan. Inspections and appraisals, so the bank might need to send an appraisal, we'll set up the appointments for that through the listing agent and everything like that. It'll go into loan review and the lawyer and the banks will start to put together the paperwork and start to transfer title and do the things that they have to do behind the scenes. And then on the day before, on the day of closing, you're gonna go into the office, the lawyer's office, you'll sign the paper, they'll change title, you'll get the keys once that title transfer changes. And then we'll actually feed you on closing day because you're probably not going to have plates or food because everything's going to be packed into boxes. So we'll make sure that you and anyone helping you move have pizza or Thai food or whatever you guys want to eat on movie day. Any questions about this? There's some details in there that I'm missing here, but this is just kind of an overview of what to expect. So I walk them through that, and then I walk them through what they can expect on closing day, reviewing the documents, just kind of what I mentioned briefly in that second. Before and after closing, so I can get into some details. So some people, if they're first-time home buyers, I'm going to get into a lot of the details of that. I'm going to go over everything and list everything off. If they've done this a few times, I might skip through some of the slides a little bit, just so that I'm not boring them too much, but they're still seeing that I know exactly what to do through this process. And then I'm letting them know who's on our team. So we have an inside salesperson, he's having door knocking every day, and I show them our app of all the different pins that we have on different houses in the neighborhood that they're looking in, so they can see all the leads that we have in that community. I'm letting them know that we have a transaction coordinator, so she's the one who's going to make sure that you got all your documents and that the lawyers and the banks get their stuff on time. And I'm going to explain the different people on the team. And I'm going to let them know of what they need to be aware of before the property closes or before they execute an agreement. They're going to want to make sure that they do not change jobs, become self-employed or quit their jobs. They're not going to want to buy a truck or a vehicle of any kind during this time because that's going to change what they're approved for. We don't want them to excessively use their credit cards or cancel any credit cards or fall behind on payments during that time. It's going to affect their ability to actually close on the property potentially. Not spend money that they've set aside for closing. And I'll let them know. I know that you're a financially responsible person, but we just have to let people know because sometimes they don't think of these things. So just don't change jobs, don't excessively use credit cards. If you're gonna remove a credit card from your portfolio of credit cards, just do it after the property closes, stuff like that. So I'll let them know about that. And then I'll let them know what our promise is to them. And this is gonna help me get referrals, and this is gonna help me solidify the relationship before we sign off on the document. So I'm just letting them know that it's our goal to create an experience that's so good, they can't imagine it being any better. Everything that we do with technology is designed around delivering on the promise that is. Everyone on our team is focused on understanding the wants and needs and delivering the results around those wants and needs. That we make every effort to be proactive and take steps to prevent surprises along the way. And that when challenges do occur, this is real estate after all, that you can trust that our team's professionalism and expertise will ensure a smooth 10+ customer experience. That's our promise to you. So we have an agreement, and then we talk about the loyalty agreement. So this is just to remind them of our fiduciary. This is kind of like a buyer representation agreement, but in point form of all the fiduciary activities that we have for them. And then I'm going to let them know what in return for those things that we're going to promise to them, we expect that they seek the pre-approval from a lender or proof of some kind that they've been approved for this much, so that we can offer confidently on properties that meet their requirements. Notify us of any listed properties that they wish to view or inform us of any for sale by owners or anything like that. They're going to make that promise to us. Have a member of our team formulate an offer on any home, even if it's new home sale or something like that. And acknowledge that the broker is being retained solely as a real estate agent and not an attorney, tax advisor, blah, blah, blah. So we go through this stuff and make sure that we're on the same page for that stuff. And then it's just then I'm saying this is not a legal and binding document. This is just like an oath between the two of us. We have a buyer representation agreement. This is the standard Ontario Real Estate Association form. Anybody who's bought a property in the last 16 years with a licensed agent in Ontario has signed the same document. So we just need your initials at the bottom and at the top, and then we can get started on this process. So then I give them the document, they sign off, and then we boom, bang, bingo, bango, bongo, get started on this process. Any questions? This was kind of the speed version of this, which is good to be able to do, because you're gonna have, like I went through this with, people who own income properties and they have their own property and stuff like that. So I didn't spend tons of time going through it, and I would mention like, hey, I know that you guys are savvy and you've been through this process before, but just so you know, like this is how we do it. And then I would walk them through. I reinforce the you know, why it's a good for an equity position. I mean, these are people who already have bought income properties. They're clearly sold on the fact that real estate's a good place to invest money. But I just reiterated that fact, just support their decision and show that we're of the same mindset kind of thing, if you know what I mean. Felt like the right thing to do, so. And then walk them through some of the key parts of that. But I would let them know, like, I know that you've been through this before, so I just need to skip through it.
Ever dealt with a client or potential client that, because there's a lot of people out there that actually hate seeing real estate agents get paid, even their own real estate agent, and when you say, as your buyer's agent, you owe me the responsibility of like letting me know whenever you come across a FISBO or a property that you want. Like, you ever get the feeling that they're trying to sidetrack you because they want to?
Well, they're making an agreement not to.
Right. So how do you handle that?
Well, you have to build up enough value, and that's the whole point of this, because I've built up enough value that they might not want to just do that deal by themselves, because they won't be looking at, when I talk about the making an offer part, I went over that with those savvy people, because I want them to know that I know what to look for. That's why you do that, because if they find their own property, they don't know how to analyze it, they don't know which properties to look at, they don't know how to make adjustments. They don't know if there's a better deal around the corner, if there's one that's about to come up. They don't know what to look for in terms of what might be wrong with the house. And yeah, they can hire people to do all that stuff, some of it at least. But I want to establish myself as the professional so that I've got the value. If you're not presenting value, the reason that a lot of people feel that way is because they're right. Most agents don't really add any value. Or they at least don't communicate the value, maybe because they're not aware of it, or they just haven't trained themselves to talk about that value, or they've just been doing it long enough where they don't remember that most people don't know what the hell to do, or they didn't know what the hell to do before they became a realtor and started doing it for a while. So that's the combination of those things. So in our listing presentation, in our buyer presentation, we don't really talk about doing anything differently than what most agents actually do, but what we do differently is we talk about what we do. That's the difference. Like when I'm on my listing presentation, I tell the sellers, like, hey, listen, like once our property goes live, it's actually going to syndicate with thousands of agent websites. So it's actually going to show up as if it's a Royal LePage listing. It's going to show up as if it's a Remax listing. It's going to show up as if it's a Standard 21 listing. So I'm removing that objection. I'm removing the objection of, well, I want it to be a this company listing. So I'm removing that objection, but that's actually what happens with all listings. As long as you've signed the TREB agreement or allow online advertising or whatever on the listing agreement, it's going to syndicate with other agent websites because they have an IDX feed on their website. So I'm just telling them that I'm doing that. I'm not saying that other agents aren't doing this, I'm just telling them that I am. You know what I'm saying? So that adds value. In their mind, that's added value. Even if the other guy that they're interviewing does do that, they don't know it because the other agent is just going and telling them a price that he thinks the house is worth and asking if they want to go to market now.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
there's a lot of people out there that like to deal with a seller agent because they think they're gonna get a deal. That's why they like to go by themselves.
And that's fine. I mean, the
No,
way
I've
I...
seen that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I have too,
Yeah.
and I just don't give a shit about it because my focus is on presenting as much value to as many people as possible. And sometimes they're not going to work with me. In fact, the majority of the people that I talk to don't work with me. Either because they just decide not to do anything, or because I didn't catch them at the right time, or because they changed their mind and I didn't follow up later, or for a variety of different reasons. The majority of people in a given day, I already know, are going to say no. Or it's just not their time. Like in a community of 5% turnover, okay, let's say there's 5% turnover in the community, that means 1 out of 20 people is selling within the next 12 months. So most agents, they're focusing on the 19 people who are not moving, and I'm just looking for the one who is. So it's the same numbers, it's the same opportunities, it's just looking at it completely differently. A glass half full, half empty type of thing, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, some people are going to look for opportunities on their own because they haven't had an agent present the value to them properly. So my job is to present the value to as many people as possible, and some people are still going to choose to work on their own. That's fine. It's not going to change my life. It's not going to change the trajectory of my career. It's not going to change what I eat at the end of, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it has zero effect because I'm just having the number of conversations that I need to have to get the 1 out of 20 people that are going to transact with me. In fact, I don't even need 1 out of 20 to do it. I need 1 out of 100, because if I want 20% market share in a community, say there's 4,000 households in a community, and there's 5% turnover, that's 200 listings sold in that one little community, okay? If I have 20% of that, that's 40 listings sold. If I sell 40 listings, I'm probably working with 40 buyers as well, because I'm gonna attract buyers to my open houses. I'm gonna get sign calls from buyers. I'm gonna get, you know, buyers who wanna work directly with the listing agent. Cha-ching, so I like those buyers too.
But they're looking for a deal, so usually they don't pay the price.
Yeah, but, so you're just being negative. You're just being negative.
Yeah, no, I've seen that.
No, I know, and that's why you're being negative.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that you're being negative and it's not substantiated, it's just you're
No.
focusing on the wrong thing.
Yeah, exactly, no, that's fine, that's why I came here.
Yeah, change your mindset. So there's a huge opportunity with a small data sample, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When I figured that out, we just started honing in on specific communities and we just go in really deep with those communities because our goal is 20% market share in the community. So if we focus all of our prospecting efforts, we focus all of our marketing dollars, we focus all of our, you know, money we give back to community centers and things like that, if we focus all of that in that one geographic area, I only need 1 out of those 100 people that I talk to. So if I have 20 conversations a day and one of them is selling within the next 12 months, I actually only need 1 of those a week to use me to sell their house. So if I get 5 leads out of 100 people I talk to, I only need 1 of those to get 20% market share, which equals like 80 sales, which is a lot of money, and that's only 4,000 households. That's only one small community, right? So sometimes you don't need everybody to do things the way that you don't need people to conform to the way that you think that they should do this. You just need to deliver your value proposition enough times to enough people.
Yeah.
That's it.
Work with the one.
Because we're only in control of the amount of conversations that we have, right?
Yeah.
And what we say during those conversations. Those are the only things we can control. So I choose to focus on how I communicate the value proposition and what my value proposition is. That's one of the reasons I teamed up with Ben Kinney, because now our value proposition is even better. All the agents on my team have a better value proposition. The agents on our team can get onboarded a lot better because they have a set of things that they need to do on day 1, on day 2, so that they can be successful. They have 100 home preview strategy and guide on previewing 100 homes. So, you know, we can actually go over this because this was the little bonus. But I mean, why preview 100 homes? You guys want some good reasons to do it? Do you?
Market knowledge.
Yeah, market knowledge. Why else would it be good to preview 100 homes in a small amount of time, especially?
Oh, so you know the neighborhood?
Yeah, so you know the neighborhood. Yeah, market knowledge, neighborhood knowledge. Yeah.
It's something to talk about. It's something to let your sphere of influence know, or post online, hey, I'm checking out all these homes in the next week or whatever.
Yeah, it gets you business because social media, you can post that you're doing it, so people see that you're in action. And you can invite people that you're talking to anyway. Or if you're talking to somebody who's potentially selling in a neighborhood, instead of just being like, hey, are you ready to sell yet? Hey, are you ready to sell yet? Hey, it's springtime and you said you want to sell in the spring. Should I come over now? Instead, you can be like, hey, I just want to let you know I'm going to be previewing some of the homes in your area this week. Or are you around in the afternoon on Thursday? You're doing it anyway, so it's not like you're making a special trip. They don't have to feel obligated or anything like that. And even if they say no, you reach out to them. Now you're top of mind again if they are thinking to make a move. You know what I'm saying? So it's got those advantages.
Sorry, just a question on the social media aspect. Are you able to take videos of homes that are not your listings and post them on your social media saying, hey, you're in?
Technically.
I asked last week and 2 of the agents at the open houses said no. They weren't comfortable without their clients' authorization or whatever. But other one, that was out of like 15 places.
Yeah, I mean, if you're concerned about that, you can disclose who the listing agent is on it. Hey, I'm at this house, it's listed by, you know, blah, 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 and he's got this amazing listing, and you guys should check it out. If you want a preview, let me know.
What's the difference between doing that, walk around the house and, you know, hey guys, I'm here at so-and-so, went to 3 Main Street, but not saying, hey, it's Joe Blow's listing, but then posting, let's say on your story, the listing. Do you know what I mean, like the photos and stuff, it's like message me for details. without asking.
I know a lot of people who do that.
You saw why I
Yeah,
drive
it's
back to
not-
this one girl.
Yeah, it's not really the right thing to do.
Yeah, that's what you say.
Sir, can you just
Yeah.
Well, like, what's the
clarify
difference
what's
between the
not right?
story and like doing that, like?
Well, the
walking
story is, hey,
around
I'm on previews, I'm checking out these properties, like, let me know if you ever wanna come to see some houses like this, just let me know.
So what's the difference between me like being at Starbucks and being like, here are the lofts for sale in CO1? Let me know if you want to preview it. Like it's the same messaging, just one's video, one's photos.
Yeah,
I'm just curious because I see this one girl do it all the time and it drives me insane and I'm like, can I just be doing this?
So
And I
what
doubt
she's
she's asking permission.
She's doing the posting of the listings.
Yeah,
she might be though, she might ask permission, they
I
say
don't
yes.
think so.
Okay, well, I know people who do that too.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I don't give a shit what other
Yeah.
agents do, like, if they wanna do that, that's fine. If they do that with my listing, I might say, hey, listen, like, at least ask permission. I probably wouldn't care too much, just getting that extra exposure, and, you know, if she gets the lead out of it, like,
Yeah.
Also,
I don't
you
care
don't have to
personally.
mention the address if you're filming yourself, you can just show somebody.
Yeah,
elements and
typically, like,
yourself
yeah,
there.
if it's a story, I'm not like, this
Right.
is like 123 Main
Yeah.
Street, I'm just like, hey, what do you guys think of this, like, open concept layout, or hey, what do you guys think of this kitchen, or hey, sick fireplace, or what, you know, stupid shit like that, that wouldn't indicate the address or anything.
Okay.
I guess that's one of the reasons, because I'm not posting
Yeah.
Yeah.
photos and addresses. But anyway, so those are all good reasons. When you're leaving business cards on 100 counters, then you might get a listing out of it, actually. You get to practice going through the house, so you get to practice going through and not just saying, okay, so here's the kitchen, oh, here's the bathroom, so you're not going through like that. You can practice going through and describing some of the features, you can go in describing some of the finishes, you can go in describing, you know, the architecture or the builder who built it or something like that. You're practicing doing that and not practicing in front of clients where you might fuck it up, you know what I'm saying? So if you're a new agent, you can just practice without like any implications of it, of it not going well.
Good question.
Yeah.
Am I able to go around to open houses on the weekend just to like learn essentially how other agents open, like do their open houses
Why
without
not?
like saying that I'm an agent?
You should say you're.
Undercover agent?
Well, that's what I mean. I want to go undercover because I want them to talk to me. Like I want to hear, like I come to your open house, so I want to hear you try to get me as a client. Is that like, is there something ethically wrong about that?
I don't think so. My brother did that recently and he learned a lot from that.
Yeah.
I go in initially, like if they ask me, then I'll tell them, but yeah, I want to see how they'll greet me and
Yeah.
rapports and
So
stuff.
it's like I can do that?
But sometimes, yeah, because sometimes I do it for like recruiting purposes, 'cause I might want to see like,
Yeah.
you know, are there any good agents in my area right now that should be on my team? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I want to feel them out and see if how they build rapport and if they ask good questions and stuff, because that might indicate whether I want to even bother next conversation with them. The other thing about doing 100 homes in that period of time is that it's a big accomplishment. So if you're starting your career, if you're moving the ball forward in your business with a big achievement like seeing 100 homes and going through that type of action, then it's just a big accomplishment. When you get accomplishments on the way and you're celebrating them along the way, you actually enjoy the journey that you're on. Instead of just wondering why you're doing this and, you know, once you hit your goal or if you don't hit your goal, you know, if you hit your goal, you're not as satisfied as you thought or hoped you'd be. And then if you don't hit your goal, you're disappointed that you didn't hit your goal. So, I mean, either way, you need to be enjoying the experience. And if you can hit milestones, if you can hit targets along the way that are within your control, because this is something you can control, then it's a win and that's good for your momentum. So even if you don't get any business from it, which you probably will just because of the amount of action that you're taking, you'll at least have a ton of market knowledge so that it can support other business activities that you do, since you are realtors after all. But also it's that big milestone that you're accomplishing. So something worth considering. There's preview and protocol, so we've got a list of like 8 or 9 things for previewing, like bringing the MLS sheet with you on it, so as a printout so that you can make notes on it. When entering the property, take the key to the home, not leaving it in the door, so you can lock it behind you just for safety or whatever. As a general rule, always take off your shoes or shoe covers if available, unless the house is dirty. This is what we're giving to brand new people, right? So when they're coming into the business, they know what the etiquette is, because otherwise they might not know that. Looking around, leaving a business card somewhere obvious, obviously. Looking around every part of the home to think how you would describe this to the buyer. So walking around the home as if you had buyers to explain each room. It's a great time to practice. On the back of the MLS printout, writing out a couple positives and a couple of constructive feedback items that you're going to use for your preview email back to the agent. So being in good rapport with agents is something that I missed for the first like 5 years of my career, but it's really critical because you're going to end up doing deals with these agents sometimes, especially if you're farming a community. So giving feedback emails is really good for for creating those relationships. It might help you win multiple offer situations, especially if you end up offering on that property or another listing with that agent, because you've given them that feedback and they know that you're an agent that's credible and worth working with, especially if you're new in the business or if you haven't done tons of deals, because then they know your name too. You're giving them feedback emails, which most agents don't just do, then you're getting credibility with other agents too, which is important. Double check the home for any doors or windows left open, lights left on. If something doesn't look right, call the listing agent. Like we've had ovens on, we've had like random shit, like doors open, windows. I just call them and just ask them if, like obviously the oven wasn't supposed to be on, but if like the windows were open, like was that supposed to be open? I just call them that. And then leave the house the way you found it or better. So we make sure that everybody knows that that's the protocol. The key things to look for.
When you're previewing homes, and obviously you're just previewing for, you have no clients, and then agent calls for feedback.
I don't call them. No, so when I'm setting up, I send them an email. So we send an email, we've got an email template, so we just fill in like the things that were great about the house, and then what might be deterring buyers or what they might want to fix. Like if they have shag carpet, you might be like, yeah, like the layout's fine, everything like that. You know, if anything is deterring buyers, it might be that shag carpet, so it might be worth taking a look at replacing.
If they call you, you say, hey, what do your clients think about the home?
Yeah, so when I'm setting it up as a preview. I'm not setting it up as a buyer showing.
So
So when I book the appointment, say, hey, I'm booking a preview for 123 Main Street. And then the expectation is that you're just previewing, you're not buyer showing it.
yeah.
So if they call and say, hey, did your buyer like it? It's like, no, I set it up as a preview. I was just going in to see what the house was like. I just want to see. Now that I've seen it, if I have any buyers that come to mind, I know exactly that it'll be a right fit or not for them.
So within Keller Williams, I can call the agent and say, I want to preview the home, and they'll give me a time where I can go and just...
It doesn't have to be Keller Williams. So you can go on any MLS listing and call their office and say, hey, I'm just calling to book a preview for this property.
And they'll know exactly, yeah,
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah.
And then I just go in and give them feedback.
Yeah,
add
you
value
go.
to myself and add value to them. And,
Well, you go in and print. You go in the printed MLS sheets, right, of that property.
yeah.
And then, yeah, on somewhere on there, on the back or wherever you want, just make notes about what you like about it.
It's a
Or,
win-win.
yeah, so they're getting feedback,
And we're getting experience if we're a new agent. Or not.
So Austin, when you go for preview, if you want to do video or something, you have to take permission from the listing agents.
No, just do it. If you're going to mention the address,
You book it.
we're getting hung up on the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
If you're promoting the address and things like that, I would recommend making sure it's okay with the listing agent. But if you're just doing a video like, hey, what do you guys think of this kitchen? Or, hey, I'm previewing homes. If you guys want to check out homes in the area, direct message me, or whatever the hell you do. If you're giving information about the address and presenting it as if it's your listing, you should make it clear that it's not your listing.
Okay.
Okay? I think that's the legal thing to do, and it's just the right thing to do, because it's not your listing. You shouldn't be pretending that other people's listings are your own listings. Your business shouldn't be in a place where you feel like you have to do that. Okay? If you're just on a story and you're in a house and nobody would know which house it is, and you're saying, hey, I'm just previewing other people's listings, you can, if you want to be that transparent about it, you can do that. It doesn't actually matter, because nobody gives a shit.
And is that you're not a lawyer or a financial advisor or in the same on every video. May I ask a question?
Yeah.
The checklist that you mentioned prior to the open house or the showings, as well as the template that you send to the other agent after reviewing, are those shareable?
Yeah, I can show those.
Thank you.
You guys will just have to email me.
Or we can give our card and you will,
Or actually just
email.
Instagram. I'll keep it separate from all my email crap. I think it's Austin Broker Keitner or something. Yeah, Instagram.
I don't have Instagram. Can you give email address?
Okay. Just make the subject buyer stuff. And then I won't ignore it. Okay?
Austin, I just want to speak to our people for few seconds. Actually, Keitner, as he said, is the master of door knocking, but today the session is different, but I think I'm also a new guy, so most of you guys are new. So I think if you have some time, if you have time, then we should learn something about door knocking. This is very important. He's really good at it. So we can learn something about door knocking.
Kid, you want to know everything you need to know about door knocking? In a couple sentences?
Yes.
Okay, talk to every single person you talk to them as if you just sold the last 3 houses that you went to. Just act as if you just sold 3 houses, and then talk to as many people as possible. Because if your attitude's amazing, how good is your attitude after you sell 3 houses?
Awesome. Fantastic.
Yeah, you got a great attitude. Nobody can fuck with you. Somebody can tell you to go eat shit, die, go to hell, say really terrible things in whatever language they want. You wouldn't care because you just sold 3 houses.
If
You know what I'm saying? And then if you can carry that amazing attitude to the next person, they won't be as rude, most likely, because that's very rare for somebody to be that rude. Then they'll probably be more responsive to you because your attitude's amazing. But if you go from that house and you're deflated because somebody just told you off and they told you that you discovered the earth, and then you're carrying yourself and you're weak and you're a little bit hesitant with your pitch, and they can tell that like you're shook, then they're not going to open up and tell you what they want.
You know what I use too, it's great to make them laugh, build instant rapport, is I say, hey, your neighbor Carlo over there, he's trying to get rid of you. And then they like all of a sudden they usually laugh. Like I say, 95% of the time they just laugh and they chuckle and they're just receptive. Even if they're not selling, the rapport is already there. I'd say like 95% of the time too. So if I do get the previous neighbor's name, so.
You said you will share script about door knocking a little bit.
Yeah.
Actually,
You can also go to Keitner Group Facebook training. That's a Facebook page, Keitner Group training. So I've got my door knocking scripts. You can just scroll all the way to the bottom because that's where I think they are. So you can go there. But I can just give you the key ones that we use. So we always print off like postcards for just solds and just listeds. So if I'm going, sometimes we'll have like 2 or 3 just listeds because we'll have like 3 in the same community. So we'll have like tons of credibility. But even if you don't have that, like I spent people on my team just spent years going out without anything. So you don't actually need that stuff. But if you're going out with like a just listed or a just sold, just listed, I might say, hey, I'm just looking for the homeowner. Is that you? I always start with that. That's my opening line. I don't try to make them laugh. I don't try to win them over. I'm not trying to be their best friend. I'm here for a purpose, and that's to talk to the homeowner. So I'm not wasting anybody's time, and people like that because you caught them in the middle of doing something other than talking to you, quite frankly. So I just start, hey, I'm just looking for the homeowner, is that you? So I've got enthusiasm, I've got a bit of energy, I'm establishing control of the conversation, and I'm not wasting anyone's time because I'm making sure I'm talking to the right person. So hey, I'm just looking for the homeowner, is that you? Then you say, yeah, and I'd say, okay, great, I'm just coming by quickly. We just went to market with these properties in your neighborhood. Do you know anybody who's looking to move into the area? And then you say, no, fuck off. Or you say no. Say no.
No.
Okay, great, well, here, keep that. we'll keep you in the loop of what they sell for. In fact, I send most of your neighbors an update every month on what the houses in the area sell for, so you'll just get an email once a month. So if your neighbor's gonna sell, you'll see what the price was and stuff like that. What's the best email? I'll make sure you get that.
I'm not interested.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Well, listen, you can just text the number on there. You can find out what the prices of those are. By the way, do you guys have any real estate plans? I'm going to start walking away at this point.
Not in the near future.
Not in the near future. If you did move, where would you go? And I've already walked away a bit, so he knows I'm not going to keep hounding him.
So well.
If you did move, where would you go?
Probably southward.
Yeah, get out of this freaking cold. Yeah, good idea. Can I come? No, I'm just kidding. No, okay, well, I'll tell you what. Is that going to be in a year, 3 years, 5 years? What do you think is the ideal time?
Probably 5 years.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, in the meantime, like I said, we don't spam people's emails. We just send them once a month the sales data. So if your neighbors have sale, you'll see the pictures, you'll see the days on market, you'll see the sale price versus the ask price. People love it. It allows you to keep your finger on the pulse of the market. You won't always say anything. You don't have to work with us if you don't want to when it comes time, but I'll make sure you get the data. What's the best email for you? And then I give the value proposition again, and then I go for the email again. Okay, great. Okay, great. And what's the best phone number in case something exciting happens? 59777. Okay, great. Yeah. So I'll do that part, and I'll say, okay, great. Yeah, let me know, and we can keep you updated with what that is sell for. Yeah. Okay. No, Adam. So I just want to establish control, make sure I'm talking to the right person, make sure I'm talking to the homeowner. let them know, you know, that we've got these properties, or hey, yeah, I just want to let you know, we just sold this property around the corner. A lot of buyers that saw the property actually missed out on the property. Do you know of anyone else who's looking to move in the area? No, I don't think so. Okay, great. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll keep you updated on what's going on because, you know, every month we just send an email to your neighbors of all the properties that sold in Mineola here. What's the best email address to do that? You know, if they say no, we just give the value proposition again and ask again. But if they are looking to do something, or if they're not, I'll always ask, okay, great, if you do, like if they say no or yes, or anything in between, basically no or anything less than a yes is, okay, great, when you move, where would you go? If you did move, where would you go? If like, no, I don't think so. It's like, okay, great, well, if you did move, where would you go? Because that should not be, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's an open-ended question they're just usually going to answer. Because they're a little bit caught off guard. It's harder to lie when you're caught off guard than just to say what you're thinking. So they just say what they're thinking. And then I can dig in a little bit more on their buying motivations and what they actually want in that house and what would be different about that house and why do you want to move there, what's that going to do for you and stuff like that. Okay, great, well I'll tell you what, in the meeting, when are you hoping to do this anyway? And if they're like, well, probably this time next year because I'll have retired then. Okay, great, well I'll tell you what, in the meantime, I'll just keep you updated with what's going on in the neighborhood. You can see the sale prices, so that you've got your finger on the pulse of what's going on with the market. What's the best email address to send that to? I'm getting their information. I hear a lot of new agents, they get their information as soon as they hear the buying signal. As soon as they hear like, yeah, like I think we'll go here. Then they're like, okay, great, well what's your phone number? I'll keep in touch. And people don't want to be kept in touch with. They don't want to be badgered by a salesperson. So instead, I ask more questions so they have more time to talk about themselves. That's when I'm building rapport. I don't need to build rapport until it's somebody who wants to build rapport. That's another mistake a lot of sales agents make, is that they're trying to build rapport with everybody. But most people don't give a shit about you. And most people are, 19 out of 20 of them aren't even going to be moving in the next year. So why waste the time and energy? You just disrupted their day. Why also be annoying? You know what I'm saying? Like, why not just get to the point, and then when it's somebody who wants to get into it, then you ask the right questions. You're saving yourself, you're protecting your attitude by doing that, because if you're getting into it and trying to make everyone laugh and trying to make everyone your best friend and stuff like that when you meet them at the door, you're actually just deflating your attitude because people aren't going to respond well to you. You're focusing on yourself when what you need to be doing is focusing on them and what they want, and if that's for you to get the hell out of there, then you just move on. Okay, great, well listen, you've got my card, if you need anything, just give me a call. Let them out of there. Before they have a chance to rotate their head all the way back in the no direction, I'm already gone. You know what I'm saying?
So, do you still use Spodio or something?
Yeah, we use Spodio. It's just a great little app to track all the houses that we talk to.
Oh, what's it called?
It's called Spodio.
Spodio.
S-P-O-T.
T-O.
S-P-O-T-I-O.
Perfect.
So all the houses that we knock on.
Oh, jeez, I should have done that 2 weeks ago.
It's okay. I was in the business for 3 or 4 years before we used it. But yeah, so we can drop a pin on every house that we talk to.
Oh, beautiful.
So if you zoom in to a street.
Do you make notes?
Oh,
Jeez.
So like on a given street, a pin on each little house.
Oh, wow.
And then any house that's, you can just filter the leads. So sometimes you just go through all your leads and call them and say, hey, like we came by, check the notes, and hey, we came by, in April, you guys were talking about making a move. Is that still what you're looking to do? Or hey, like I know that you guys are, we talked last year, I'm actually previewing homes in your area right now. Do you guys want to come along? You just like do those types of calls. So yeah, all the leads are kind of there. So this is what we show buyers as well when we're doing that buyer consults as well, when we're talking about the off-market opportunities. We're showing them, like, listen, we're knocking doors in this area every day. So we actually find a lot of off-market, like all these little orange pins are people who have told us that they're thinking about selling. So in addition to the MLS information that you're going to get, we're also going to be looking off-market for you as well. So I'll be digging into these contacts to see if any of these houses are a match for you. So now I've automatically more than doubled my value compared to every single other agent that's sending them automated listings right now. That's how we got a buyer representation agreement with those savvy investors, because we were willing to go and knock on doors and no other agent had talked about it. That's the only differentiator between us and other agents. And the fact that we're willing to communicate all the things that are going to happen that other agents are probably doing, they just don't talk about it for some reason.
Have you gone out this winter? Or this year, what you say?
I've taught people to door knock this winter, yeah. I don't go out unless I'm with somebody, because then I'm making use of my time.
Yep.
Because I already know that I can go out and get leads every single day, so it's not the best use of my time, because I'd rather show somebody else how to do it and teach them how to do it, and then I can spend my time following up with those people. Because if they can eliminate those 19 no's, and at least I can go to the no's that are on the phone, on the follow-up calls, instead of eliminating those 19 and then doing that.
Yeah.
It's just you only have so much time in the day, right? At some point in this business, you need leverage in different areas of it. So the leverage piece starts with the administrative stuff. That's the first hire. It's right out of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, because they can take over 80% of the tasks that most of you guys are probably spending your time doing. And then you can spend that 80% of your time either on more family stuff or friend stuff, or on building your business or getting more sales. So it's a very logical hire. And then you're gonna get somebody who's gonna help with some of your showings, because that's a really big time-consuming activity that you have to get good enough at, and by doing your 100 previews when you're new is a really good way to get really good at that, so that you have something to teach that showing assistant. So then you're lining up the buyers, because you're awesome at your buyer consult, and you have a value proposition that's attracting buyers, and you're getting a lot of leads from all the listings that you have, so you're getting calls from buyers and stuff like that, so you've got a lot of opportunities to book appointments with them. And then you let them know, hey, listen, like, I've got, ours is Danielle, her name's Danielle, so I've got Danielle here, she's amazing, she's already probably seen a lot of the houses that you're gonna be looking at based on what you told me that you want. So she's gonna take you on the showings. Her and I are talking about the properties before you go, we're talking about them after you go. And then when it comes time to make an offer, her and I are gonna look at this data and make sure that we're making a really good decision on pricing and stuff like that. So she'll set it up, she'll set you up on Collab, and she'll make sure that when you like a property, she's either previewing it for you, or she's gonna take you out, you can go and see it. So then you just set it up for them to expect that, and then they feel like they're getting all kinds of great service, because it's not just you. Sometimes we think that they're signing up for us, but they're not really signing up for us. They're signing up for our process and for our system, and for the results that we are telling them that we're going to get. And if we can get better results because we've got better qualified people in different positions of the company or of the transaction or of the process, then they're actually getting a lot more value than we'd be able to deliver on our own.
And that's great when you go to the 1% objection, or the purple bricks objection, or the discount realtors. It's like, this is what we're providing.
Yeah, the discount agent, they still have fees, they still have to pay money to be in the business, they still, they have mortgages to pay and stuff like that, so they're usually spending their time, they're usually spending their money on financing their life. Whereas we use money to finance the business, where we use money to finance the actual market knowledge, where we use the money to market the properties. So we're actually able to get more money. We're actually able to save our buyers money, because we actually use some of that money to pay outside sales agents to go knock on doors to find opportunities. We pay people to go and preview the homes so that you don't have to. So it saves you a lot of time. It actually saves you a lot of money. So that 1.5% that you're saving,
That's a great handle.
that you're saving is actually going to cost you maybe 3, 4, 5, 6%. Yeah.
That's a great handler.
Yeah. Well, you said it, not me.
Austin, the one you said is just for guys like you who's already in the market, listed, sold, and you can go with those information and share. But how about for new guys who are just starting? What is the best sort of script? And what is the best time, as per your experience, to go knock, whether it's weekend or certain period in the days, or what do you think? Where people, most of the times the people are at home. What do you think?
Great questions. I probably should have started this, but when I got into the business, I started with $0 budget, and I printed business cards off my computer, and I went with a clipboard and a blank piece of white paper, and the first door that I could reach with my fist, I knocked on and asked, hey, how you guys think about selling your house? And I went to the next person and said, hey, I'm just one of the real estate agents in the area, just thought I'd come by to see if you guys have thought about selling your house. And then I just did that, and a bunch of people said no, probably, and then some people said yes to appointments. I remember the first time I had 2 appointments the same day, and I get a call while I'm door knocking, and one of them's canceled. I'm like, okay, like whatever, keep going. Then the other one within the hour canceled. I'm like, okay. And then I already trained my brain, like when there's adversity, when there's disappointments, just to go harder, and my attitude got better, and that was just from like being fucked up in the head and just training myself to do that over a period of time, which is just something that you'll have to do in sales because there's a lot of disappointments. But I got 3 appointments that day just because I just built up the resolve and just decided, fuck that, I'm getting more. But anyway, my first 3 months I didn't do any transactions, but I had a big pipeline and listing appointments, and I was getting listings and stuff. And then in my 4th month, I did 10 transactions. It was 135 in gross commission. It was more than I'd ever done in that period of time in my life, obviously. I finished the year with 350,000 in gross commission with 22 transactions. I was a panelist, a Rookie of the Year at Keller Williams at the Family Reunion Conference. And then we doubled that the next year, but then we flatlined for a few years. We were stuck at like 650, 700,000 in revenue. And then we switched up our strategy. We started going really small in terms of our geography. Like we were scattered all over the place because I had inside salespeople using auto dialers, calling 3 numbers at the same time. So we get a list, like any opportunity, we're just chasing opportunities all over the place because like you can only call so many people in an area before you have to move on to the next community or whatever. So we were just taking listings wherever we could, and we were hoping that we would catch them at the right time because we didn't have any automation in terms of follow-up texts or mail outs or, you know, that local presence. Like in our neighborhoods now, people see our signs every weekend because there's signs all over the places for open houses. They're seeing our for sale and sold signs. They're seeing our mail outs that are being distributed to their households all the time. They're seeing, you know, the mail outs that we distribute to them if we identify them as a lead because they get a lot more stuff than other people. You know what I mean? They're seeing us on social media because we can geo-target the ads that we do and things like that. So they're just seeing us everywhere, whereas before they weren't. So we got, like after 1 year of doing that, we started doing this just over 2 years ago. After 1 year of doing that, we went from 650 to 750, and that's in the market that went down a little bit, but then we went from 750, and last year we did 1.3 million, and this year we're already doubling what we did the previous year, so we're on pace for over 2 million this year, and this is in a market that's still down, so it's just from that implementing some of those systematic things that help your leads being nurtured so that you don't have to do as much heavy lifting, so that you don't have to call them at the right time, at the right place, and hope that you get them without any automation happening in between. And, well, probably from other things too, just having better people on the team and stuff, and better tools and whatnot, but a combination of some things, but it all kind of started with that harnessing a specific niche. And then we are very prospecting based, so we start with the lead generation at people's doors so that we have people that we can slam with marketing. But then we kind of reinforce it with marketing. So we're prospecting based, but marketing enhanced, if you will. I don't know if that answers your question. What was your question?
What's the exact script that you use initially? Because the one that you said.
Yeah, so initially it was just like, hey, I'm just coming by to see if you thought about selling your house. Or, hey, we've been selling a bunch of houses in the area, and I was referring to my brokerage. Hey, we've been selling a bunch of houses in the area. Have you guys thought about selling yours? And it was just that simple. And then they would say, yeah or no, and I'd be like, and if they were saying like no, I'd be like, okay, great, well if you did move, where would you go? Like my script hasn't really changed. You know what I mean?
I think your script was what's your real estate plan. That was.
Yeah, same thing. Okay, so like, have you guys thought about selling? Just thought I'd come in and check in on your real estate plans this year. Some variation of that. Yeah, just checking in on your real estate plans. Just thought I'd come by to see if you guys thought about selling. No, I don't think so. Okay, very well. If you did move, where would you go? No, I don't know. I think we'll stay here for another 10 years or so. Okay, great. But what's important about staying here for 10 years? No, I don't know. Like we're going to retire in 10 years, and then we'll think about moving up to the cottage. Okay, great. Well, since you're staying for so long, we'll keep you updated with what's going on in the area. We'll send you the sales data once a month. If you need anything, just let us know. What's the best email address? I'll make sure you get that. And then they're not doing anything, and I don't care. I'll at least go for the information. They're like, no, I really don't like emails. Then I'm walking away. Okay, well, here's my card. If you need anything, give me a call. By the way, people do love getting that email just because you can actually see the photos of the house that sells. You'll see the list price versus the sale price. You'll see the days on market. What's the best email? I'll make sure you get that. And now I've already walked away. I've already taken away. I've already shown I don't give a shit about whether they give it to me or not. It's for them. I'm giving them value. There's nothing in it for me because unless I sell their house, I don't make any money. So it's not doing me any favor. So what's the best email? I'll make sure you get that. No, I don't actually have an email. Okay, great. Well, you got my info. Give me a call if you need anything. And then I'm gone. No big deal. I just do that repeatedly. So it's not glamorous. Certainly the monotony of doing it all the time is, what most people can't endure, which is why most people just kind of stay at the same production levels for long periods of time, because what I had to start doing was I had to start hiring people and training other people to do it, because otherwise I would just get too bored. That was one of the reasons. I also knew that I'd be doing it for the rest of my life if I didn't replace myself in different areas of the business. So even though it didn't look pretty a lot of the time, even though it was hard, even though it took me away from my sales, which I already knew I could do, over time it's worth it because then you replace yourself incrementally in every part of the business. Like I might not be doing any part of the transaction in the next year and a half, 2 years. And that's not like bragging or anything like that. That's just because I decided that I didn't want to be doing transactions for the rest of my life, not because I don't like doing them, but just because I wouldn't be fulfilling my potential, I didn't think. So I wanted to be able to replace myself in the areas, incrementally from the areas that are the cheapest to replace yourself in first. That's why administration is the first place, one of the reasons it's the first place you replace yourself. But I just want to replace myself from the aspects of that because I want to focus on building other businesses. I want to focus on adding more value to the service that we already have. If we can have ownership of staging companies, if we can have ownership of moving companies, if we can have ownership of that and control it, it doesn't matter what happens to commissions or sale, the number of sales or the different things that technology can do to replace the real estate agent and things like that. Because if we have revenue coming in from different parts of the real estate transaction, then me and my people will always be protected from whatever happens in the industry as well. Yeah.
I think one of the points that was being asked too was time of day and what kind of schedule were you working on?
Yeah, none of that matters. When you're most motivated, that's when it's a good time to go.
Right. Or were you doing a certain amount a week? Did you have a goal?
We would do it early in the day just because it's easy to let most of the day go by and then you all of a sudden don't have time for it. Like, I mean, this is a whole other course
Yeah.
on time management and
Yeah.
stuff. But, you know, a lot of people, they usually get the things that don't matter out of the way so they can start doing the things that matter most. But not everything matters equally, and we only have a certain amount of willpower during the course of the day. If you notice by the end of the day, you're probably not eating the food that you know that you shouldn't be eating, or you know, you might, if you leave the gym till the end of the day, you might decide, you know what, you don't need the gym that day. You know, if you're leaving things that are important to when you're most fatigued, when you're most drained, it's a lot harder to make yourself do it. So prospecting at the beginning of the day is what we usually do, just because then it's done. You've got your most important business building activity done. So the rest of the day, if you drop some stuff, it doesn't matter as much because those things don't matter. And they've done studies, because I used to be in direct sales. That's why I came into the business and was able to kind of light it up in that area of the business when I was brand new, because I had done direct sales for 2 years, knocking doors for 2 years. And in that industry, they tracked every time you got a work order, which was a sale, then they knew what time and what day that happened, and they knew the location, they knew all this data on it. They looked at the time of day that the work orders were coming in over many years and over hundreds of thousands of transactions, and they saw that they were all, like, the number of sales was even across every time of day. So it's not like sales spiked at 5 p.m., which is what a lot of people would expect. It's not like they dipped at 11 a.m. It was consistent throughout. So it was when the sales agents were motivated is when they were getting the sales, and when you aggregate enough data, it turns out that it's equally distributed. You have a question?
Going back to showing homes.
Yeah, which is why we're here.
Yeah. Just a few questions, and you may not say anything. I just thought of it as like Josh Altman this morning, like on one of his YouTube videos, and he's like, I'm gonna show you how I show homes, and then something happened in the video, and he's like, I'll get to you in the next video.
Okay.
So my question to you is, do you take the lead and walk through the patient first, walk through the mudroom first, or do you let them and you follow them? And is there a trick? There may not be, but like, do you let them walk in a room first? Do you know what I mean? Like, is there any little tricks like that?
Yeah, I mean, you have to keep in mind, you want to be yourself. So you want to, like, you might see really outgoing personalities, or you might see really, like, you know, salesy type people. I don't want to ever be salesy because that turns most people off, at least for my behavior. So I really focus on the facts that I know about the property. So if I know something about that type of layout, or if I know something about that type of design, if I know a bit about the builder who built it, or if I know a little bit about, you know, the finishes that were used or something like that, I might describe those things, especially if I did my homework before and read about it or talked to the listing agent or asked, hey, is there anything that I should point out about this property that my buyers might want to know? You should be having those conversations too, because that's going to help you sell. So you can talk about those things, and then you ask them. Then I'm letting them tell me what they think, because I want to give them facts and then ask their opinion on the house. If I'm giving my opinion and, oh, this is great, like this is what, you know, you're going to love this wide, you know, bay window, they might not like wide bay windows. Yeah. And now you're in disagreement and you're butting heads about that feature, right? So why do that to yourself? Why not? And it doesn't actually matter what you like about the house anyway. Yeah. Because the house that I would buy for me and my family is very different from the house that a lot of my buyers would buy for them and their families. So why am I giving my opinion on the house anyway? Unless they ask for it, and then I might say, well, you know, in terms of the value, I think it's probably in line. There might be room for negotiation. I know it's been on the market for 35 days, and the average around here is about 25 days, so it seems like they might be a little bit overpriced. A lot of buyers aren't gonna like the fact that the mudroom doesn't have anywhere to hang your coats, because that's gonna be a sticking point for some buyers, so that might be one of the reasons that it's staying there, so that might be one of the reasons you can get a better deal. I think in terms of the actual real estate value, it's probably there. It seems to check off most of the things on your list. Is there any reason you can think of you wouldn't want to put an offer? You know what I mean? Then I'll give a slight opinion on it, but based on what they want and what the general market looks for, and based on market stats and facts, and just like a little bit. You don't have to go overboard. Just like one little snippet there, because they won't. You know what I mean? Like they're just looking to see like that you kind of know what you're talking about and that you've got something to back it up. So I hope that answers your question. Cause
I don't know, like, so do you walk them through the house, or do you let them walk you through the house, essentially? Like, do you follow them to the mudroom, to the basement, or do you go, let's head down to the basement, like, you take control of the showing of, like, what? And then do you walk into a room first, or do you let them, or does that not matter?
it's a good question. It doesn't matter that much. I'm not too rigid about that. Usually when we go in, if I'm introducing things about it, I'm leading the way because I can explain some stuff and I'll be like, let's take a look. Do you guys want to go upstairs or downstairs first?
Okay.
It doesn't to me matter that much. I don't feel the need to be in control the whole time. I want them to explore. I want them to feel like it's their house. I want them to be able to visualize themselves in the house. So after, if I give them a little bit of information, a little bit of value about the house, then I might just shut the fuck up and let them explore it.
The reason why I ask is because I was at an Agents Open one time, and there's this elder lady. She was real nice. She was awesome, but she's just like, because I'm tall, she's like, I just want you to know, never walk into the room first, because you'll distort the room size. I was like, I'm not that tall, but like, still, I was just like, so that opened a whole other like can of worms for me. Because I'm like, what else should I be doing or not doing here? I'm like, or is this lady just?
Yeah. So I mean, I'm glad you brought that up.
I know. I was just like, what? My gosh.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I mean, I learned a long time ago to not let people's opinions on what they think should be, how things should be done. Like for example, like when you're door knocking and somebody's telling you that nobody on the street is going to sell their house. It's like, do they actually know that nobody on the street is going to sell their house? Have they talked to everybody on the street? Is everybody on the street going to disclose something that could be private to this particular person? Very fucking doubtful. Is everybody going to have that opinion that, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just an opinion. And if I'm going to take that and base the way I behave and base the decisions I make, and you know, now I'm not going to door knock the street because this person told me that nobody's selling. Like, I can't let people's opinions dictate how I'm gonna. If everybody's telling me that, and it's good that you're asking that question. If you're getting that feedback from multiple people, then it's something you might want to look at.
Well, just the one time, and then I was just like, oh, maybe there's other things. Like, should I not be walking into the place first? When you're just like, don't point out, like, I love the bay window. Like, that's another thing that I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't. You know what I mean? Just little things I pick up, but I just didn't know maybe if there was something.
It's a good question. A really good thing to do is to shadow an agent that you know is having success in an area of the business that you want to have more success. Because you're going to learn little things that you might not hear. Like I might not even think to talk about standing up here, but you'll see in the nuances and you'll pick up things that otherwise are tough to pick up if it's just being described to you. So that might be a good place to look at those things.
Mm-hmm.
You could shadow our buyer's agent. She does a lot of previews and a lot of showings and stuff, so we could set that up if you want. Any other questions? We've got to wrap it up now.
Very good question, but how do your agency use Spotty over winter?
They keep their hands warm and then they just make it happen.
I knocked on so far about 300 doors. No, 500 in the past 2 weeks.
And what do you use for your shackles?
I just use the counter. Yeah, that's good.
How do you track your conversation?
Hmm? iPhone this guy, old school. Counter.
This question.
So I keep track of my count, like how many people.
Not the numbers, actual conversations.
Yeah, no, on my.
No, go to inside sales. He's not licensed.
Just quick note,
Just
just
do,
reply to when I get home.
We just limit what he can talk about.
Even like
Yeah.
last
And he's an
week's
independent
advice.
contractor, so he's not an employee.
And like people still answer. I say 33%.
Stuff like that. But there's rules in Rico has the rules for that. Any other questions? Hope you guys got what you wanted. I think we covered everything. Not the hosting before, after, during, but that's kind of a different course anyway.
Sorry, last question. The 100 homes that you preview, how do you choose the area?
Okay, there's a few different ways to do it. So you can do it based on type of house. You can do it based on an area where you want to get listings. You can do it based on...
You avoid downtown condos, I guess?
Yeah, you might not want the bullshit of that, but you also might wanna, you know, sell some of those units sometimes, and if you're leaving your car in all of them and you're bumping elbows with people in the building, that's never a bad call. Owner occupied homes, 5 vacant properties, you can just focus on houses that nobody's living there. Condos, manufactured homes, so that means like new homes. Yeah, you can just do like a specific community and just say, okay, I'm gonna see 10 houses in Little Italy today. You know what I mean? Like however you wanna group them, just so that, and it's easier if you do with a plan. You might know somebody in an area, they're gonna be listing their house soon, so you might just do previews there and let them know a week in advance, hey, I'm gonna be doing previews next week. Are you around on Thursday? Well, if they're not around on Thursday, say, okay, great, what would be a good day if I'm able to switch that around? You know what I mean? Actually make it happen. That'd be a good way to do it. My buyer's agent this month, two of her previews that she's doing this month have turned into buyer showings, and one of them's putting an offer right now. She would have never known that they're thinking of buying unless she was there. Yeah. So it works. You just gotta be in action. If you got one thing out of today, is to be in action, and a great way to do that, especially if you're a newer agent, is to go and see a shitload of homes. There's nothing bad that will result from that. I can't think of one bad thing. You're gonna spend your time doing it, but I mean, you're a real estate agent, so you should know how to do them, and you should know what the houses are like anyway, right? That's our job. All right, guys, thank you.
Thank you.